HQ.
Hey guys, what's up? Paul Niyama, Muscle Building Foods, HQ.com. So the other day I got a question about what are some good sources of fat? What are the best foods that I like to eat that have a lot of fat in them? And if you're asking this question, I'm assuming that you're going low carb. So fatty carbs are going to be out. So carbs that have a lot of sugar, fats that have a lot of sugar and have a lot of other carbs are out. So that means no ice creams because that has a lot of fat, and so does donuts. But these are not going to be in the equation. Now, actually, the other day I did a video about my favorite foods for building muscle, and I had my top 3 choices of fats there. So if you haven't checked it out, click on the link right there. I also put a link in the description down below. And in that video, my choices were coconut oil. I love coconut oil. It's very good fat. Almonds are another one of my favorites. And my last pick was avocados. How could I forget about avocados? Avocados are great. And those are my top picks for the best foods as far as health and my taste. But when I'm going low carb, one of my biggest sources of fat comes from my high fat proteins. So these are going to be things like eggs and my high fat meats like ribeyes and chicken thighs, and just the proteins that have a lot of fats, and high fat fishes like salmon, which is another one of my picks in the previous video, and cod, and just fatty fishes because they're going to have omega-3s if they're wild caught. Other than that, you're going to have your other nuts, not just almonds. You got walnuts, pecans, cashews are okay. I like the taste, but they're going to have a little bit of carbs as well. And if you're going low carb, just make sure it fits into your diet. But your nuts are okay. If you're not going paleo, you could do peanuts, because peanuts are technically a legume and they're off limits if you're going paleo. But if you're not, like I'm not on paleo, you could do peanuts. And since you could do nuts, you could do all the nut butters as well. So peanut butter, almond butter. Just make sure that when you pick a nut butter that you read the label. The label should say just the nut and maybe nut and salt. So my peanut butter says, on the ingredient list, says peanuts and salt. And the only reason it has salt is because that's what's at Costco. They don't have one without salt. And that's where I bought it. Other than that, you get your high-fat dairy products. Again, off limits if you're on paleo, but if you're not on paleo like me, you could do your high-fat dairy. So whole milk is good. Cheese is a really high-fat food. It has a little bit of protein as well, but it has a lot of fat. So if you're needing a high-fat food, cheese is a really good source. And you got full-fat yogurt as well, and you got some full-fat cottage cheese, although that does have a lot of protein. I would consider that more protein than a fat, but you're going to get some fat from there as well. Butter also has some fat. It's better than margarine, and it does have a good smoke point. And speaking of smoke points, you got all of your high-fat oils as well. So I mentioned coconut oil as one of my top picks, but you also got olive oil, which is really good fat. It's not good to cook with though, because it has a low smoke point. But avocado oil, macadamia nut oil, those are really good fats as well, and they have high smoke points. So if you're cooking real high heat, those are good ones to use. And those are all that I could think of off the top of my head. If you have any other fats that you want to mention that I forgot, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. That's it for this one, but make sure that you get my free ebook. I wrote about the 12 biggest mistakes that people make when trying to get in shape. It talks about nutrition, I talk about rest, and of course the workouts. There's a lot of people that I see working out that just don't know what they're doing. So don't be one of them. Get the ebook. I talk about the solutions for it. There, you could click on the link here, and there's also a link in the description down below. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Until next time, Paul Niyama, Muscle Building Foods, HQ.com.